Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link, and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hey there, kids. How are you doing? Welcome to today's class. And I am so happy to have you here as part of our class 2 of the painting course that we have going on. Now, today is an exciting day because you're going to be going ahead and painting something that I absolutely love. And I'm going to give you a minute or two to guess what it is. A clue of what it could be is there's a lot of it right now around me in my background. So if you can figure out what we're going to be going ahead and doing, just look at my background and try figuring it out. Now, till you try figuring it out, I want to go ahead and talk to you about a couple of things. The first thing that I want to go ahead and talk to you about is the certificate program that we have going on. Like you all know, you're getting certificates for the work that you're going ahead and putting in, but there are a couple of pointers that you need to keep in mind. The first thing being that you have to go ahead and attend all of the classes of any particular course. For example, if you're going ahead and attending this painting course, go ahead and attend all of the classes, whether it's 8 classes, 6 classes, whatever it is, go ahead and always attend all of the classes. The next thing that I want you to go ahead and keep in mind is to do your submissions for each of the classes that you go ahead and attend. Now, the reason I'm going ahead and asking you to do so basically is that if you attend all of the classes and do all of your submissions, then we as a platform can understand that you've gone ahead and learned the skills the way we want you to go ahead and learn it. Where you're actually going ahead and fulfilling all of your knowledge, or you're actually growing through the process. So automatically giving you a certificate becomes adequate, and it becomes super easy. Now, coming to why you need a certificate, I think I have gone ahead and spoken about this so many times. I've spoken to you about why you need a certificate, how it's going to help you in the future, wherein you can go ahead and provide it to your teachers, your friends, your colleagues, whoever wants to know the skill set that you basically have as a student or as an individual. Then the certificates basically come into play at that point of time. So make sure you go ahead and try getting the certificate. All right. Now, since we've spoken about the certificate program as a whole, I want to go ahead and now talk to you about all of your submissions. Like you all know, you have the chance of being selected as part of the top 10 and, sort of showing up on our platform. But irrespective of that motivator that we're going ahead and giving you, I want you to do your submission, either way. I want you to go ahead and be sort of responsible for your work. I want you to go ahead and be responsible for everything that you're attending. So any course you're attending, any class you're attending, I want you to feel responsible for the same. Be like, yes, I have attended this course. I want to go ahead and do my homework or submission, whatever it is. click a picture and upload it. It's going to make a world of a difference for you as a, a personality, because you're going to have that sense of responsibility. But apart from the sense of responsibility as well, you will see growth. And I, as a teacher, or any teacher, is going to go ahead and look at the growth that you're making. So from submission 1, submission 2, submission 3, submission 4 of a course, I'm going to be looking at it, and I'm going to be able to tell how you're growing as a student. If anything needs to be changed as part of any course, any way you're not learning well, whatever it is can be sort of improved or kind of worked on if you're going ahead and giving your submissions in. So irrespective of how you're done, good, bad, ugly, amazing, whatever it is, go ahead and do your submissions irrespective. All right, since we've gone ahead and spoken about our submissions, have you gone ahead and guessed what we're doing today? Not really. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to be going ahead and painting a leaf. Now, the leaf that we are specifically going to go ahead and paint is going to be an oak leaf. Oak leaves are so, so, so beautiful. They're these really big, large leaves that you find in nature. And, they tend to have like a greenish tinge when they are like, fresh and new. But as they grow older, in autumn, they have this beautiful yellowish ochre brown color that comes into them, and they're really, really pretty leaves to go ahead and paint as well. So one of my favorite leaves to paint whenever like want to sit down and paint something and I don't know what to paint, I normally go ahead and paint a oak leaf. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. Now let's go ahead and start off with the list of materials that we need as part of today's class, and then we can go ahead and proceed into the procedure of how we'll be going ahead and learning, because I want to sort of break down the process, making it easier for you to go ahead and learn. Otherwise, it can get a little confusing as to what we're going ahead and doing. So, first, list of materials. So the first thing that you'll need for today's class is going to be a sheet of a paper. Here you can see I have a nice sheet of paper that's already cut out. Now you can go ahead and take a drawing book, sketchbook, whatever you have with you. Also, you don't need to go ahead and specifically take a separate sheet of paper. But one thing that I want to go ahead and make sure of before you actually go ahead and start painting is that I want you to have a nice thick sheet of paper. At this point of time, an A4 size sheet of paper would not work. If you've ever felt an A4 size sheet of paper, it's very, very, very thin, versus if you go ahead and actually touch a sheet of paper that is of a drawing book or a sketchbook, it tends to be a lot thicker. So I want you to go ahead and stick to a sheet of paper that is much, much, much thicker, because when you go ahead and actually add in paint on your paper, you're going to also be going ahead and adding a little bit of water. If you're using very, very thin sheets of paper, what will happen is your paper will end up tearing, or if it doesn't tear, then little pieces of paper is going to start coming out of your sheet, which you do not want, because then it's going to make your picture look ugly. Another thing that I noticed as part of the donut painting class that all of you have gone ahead and attended is that a lot of your pages were sort of tearing because of over blending or adding in too much water. So one thing that I want you to make sure of is to not add a lot of water onto your sheet of paper. Add as little as possible. I'm going to be giving you a lot more tips this time in terms of how to add in very little water, or what to do if you've added in water, to make it easier for you to go ahead and learn. So keep following those tips, otherwise your sheet will tear, or you're not going to get a very good result. So make sure of that. The next thing that you need for today's class is going to be a paint set. So here I have the dorm student watercolor cakes. I have the color white, black, brown, pink, light blue, dark blue, purple, orange, red, dark green, light green, and yellow. You can obviously go ahead and take more colors if you have, but if you do not have even a 12 set of colors, don't worry about it. Even if you have the basic colors of red, yellow, blue, and just white and black, we can go ahead and do this class. For all of the classes, you do not need a huge range of colors. You can take whatever you have with you. Also, in terms of the paints, if you have watercolor cakes, that's great. If you have poster paints, that's great. If you have acrylic paint, that's great. All of those options will work absolutely well. The next thing that you need for today's class is going to be a jug of water. So you can go ahead and take it in a mason jar or a glass like this, how I have gone ahead and taken it. Or you can go ahead and take it in sort of like a plastic cup or plastic bowl, whatever you have with you, as long as you have like a good like jug of water with you to go ahead and keep mixing your brushes and washing your brushes off. The next thing that you need is going to be a brush. Now for the brush, you can go ahead and take any brush that you have with you. A lot of your watercolor cake sets or paint sets do come with brushes, and you can definitely go ahead and take that. But if you do not have that and you're going ahead and buying brushes and you have bought brushes, then go ahead and take a brush size very close to how your sheet of paper is going to be. To give you an example, if you have a small sheet of paper, use a smaller brush. If you have a big sheet of paper, use a bigger brush. It's going to help you better in terms of working with your painting. The last thing that you need for today's class is going to be a pencil. Now we need a pencil basically to go ahead and draw our piece out. Now let me go ahead and break up the process of how we're going to go ahead and do our painting, so that you don't get lost in the middle. If you're going ahead and doing one step and we sort of move forward and you need to sort of come back to the previous step, you already know what to do and it's not confusing for you to go ahead and do so. So the first thing that we're going to actually do is draw the whole leaf. I'm going to go ahead and break that procedure into two parts of drawing the leaf. So go ahead and follow through in that manner. The second thing then we're going to go ahead and move on to is actually painting process. Now the painting process is going to have approximately 4 stages in it. So the first layer of paint we're going to do, then we're going to do a second layer of paint which is also going to have blending. Then we are going to have a third set of paints which is again going to have blending, and then we're going to have a fourth set and final set of paints. Now, in these 4 stages, I am going ahead and doing so in order to make my leaf look really, really realistic. But if you feel like, you don't want to go ahead and add in so many layers, also one of the reasons is that your sheet of paper could also tear. Then go ahead and add in 1, 2, or 3 layers. I would suggest doing 3 layers. I'm going to be going ahead and doing yellow, then light orange, then dark orange, then brown and red. You can go ahead and probably do just yellow, orange, and brown and red because your sheet of paper may tear. So make sure of these couple of pointers, because you do not want your artwork to look bad, or you do not want to, try and do the whole process but then not have a beautiful result. So just keep these couple of things in mind. Now let's start off with the drawing process of this. So grab your pencil and let's get started. All right, so since everybody has their pencils in hand, let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to go ahead and do first is we're going to go ahead and draw the center stem of our leaf. So here you can see I've drawn sort of like a curve, and coming out from this curve, I'm going to go ahead and do small lines on either side. If you've ever gone ahead and looked at any leaf, you'll notice that there are sort of veins in the center of all leaves. You have sort of these veins coming out. If you look at this leaf right here as well behind me, or you go ahead and look at this leaf right here behind me, you will see that all leaves sort of have these veins and they have a center line. So that is what we are actually going to go ahead and start the drawing of our leaf with. Now the reason we're actually starting our drawing of our leaf with this is because it makes the drawing of the leaf easier, the process of actually drawing it, because if you go ahead and start with the outer portion, it can get really, really, really hard. So I'm just going to wait here for a second, making sure all of you have gone ahead and finished your leaf well, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next step. All right, perfect. Good job, everybody. Excellent. Try to be clean and neat when you're doing any part of the drawing. So right now, this part of the drawing, make sure you've gone ahead and done a neat job, because you don't want to have sort of like a dirty base. And if you have a dirty base, then your painting is also going to get affected in that. So try to be as clean as possible. All right, so I can see most of you have gone ahead and finished up with the leaf drawing, the vein drawing specifically, and now we can go ahead and actually draw the leaf itself. Now coming to the drawing of the leaf, what I want you to go ahead and do is I want you to go ahead and have points at the tips. So for example, if you look at this area, if you look at this area, if you look at this area, we're going to have sort of like a pointy texture. Now between two pointy textures, we're just going to go ahead and do a U or a curve in order to make it look like the two parts are joining together. So that's the process we're going to go ahead and do. Now I'm going to play it in order for you to see how I'm doing this process. So you can see I'm doing a couple of points, then I'm doing sort of the U, and then again couple of points. Now in this, if you see, I'm going ahead and doing a couple of points for each edge. If you feel like a couple of points can be too complicated or too hard, then you can go ahead and definitely do just one point. That also will be an oak leaf. Oak leaves do come in many shapes and forms, so you don't have to have exactly like how I am doing it, having couple of pointers. So make sure to do it the way you are comfortable doing it, because you want to have a beautiful result at the end. You do not want to have something that you're not comfortable with, or you were not able to easily draw. So look at how my leaf is looking. I have like a bunch of points on each of the edges, and in the middle I have this sort of U. You can obviously go ahead and just do one point. If you look at this area, I could have just done one point and that would look amazing as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait here for a second, making sure all of you have gone ahead and finished this portion. While you're drawing it, I'm just going to also play this portion once again, so as to um, give you a guide if any of you are still going ahead and drawing it and didn't understand the concept. So if you need to watch, you can watch, otherwise you can continue drawing. Excellent job, everybody. Very well done. Very, very, very well done, everybody. Good job. Perfect. Excellent. Really well done, everyone. Perfect. There you go. All right. So just going to wait here again for a couple of seconds, making sure all of you have gone ahead and drawn your leaf out. Amazing. Now, obviously, when you go ahead and draw something out for the first time, you do end up making mistakes. And I also made a mistake. So I'm actually going to go ahead and correct that out right here. Don't hesitate in correcting out anything. If you need to go ahead and correct it out, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to be perfect at your first go. So go ahead and correct it out if you need to. Excellent job, everybody. Very, very well done. Good, good, good job. All right. Okay, so the next step of finishing the drawing part of our leaf is going to be to actually draw a few holes or circles that are present on the leaf. Now, this portion I'm actually going ahead and doing as part of it being a dried up leaf. So if you've ever gone ahead and looked at a dried up leaf, you do have these sort of circles, present, or these kind of cuts and tears present on leaves because they've gone ahead and dried up and fallen everywhere. And this part of it is going to be optional for you to go ahead and draw. The reason being is because if you go ahead and draw it, then you have to go ahead and paint around it, and you want to leave those spaces white. So you can go ahead and leave your whole leaf as is, and you can paint completely at one go. But if you go ahead and do the circles, and remember, you have to go ahead and outline it and not have any color in it. So only if you feel you're comfortable using a brush to that level, then go ahead and draw these ovals or circles. Now this you can obviously go ahead and draw at a random. I'm just going ahead and drawing a few alongside those branches here and there, and keeping them sort of like an oval shape in order to make them look very, very pretty. All right, now I can see most of you have gone ahead and finished up with the drawing. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about the colors that we're going to go ahead and use. In that time, if you have any corrections to make to your leaf, go ahead and definitely do so. So the first color that we're going to be going ahead and using as part of your leaf is going to be yellow. Now one mistake that I noticed as part of the previous class was that all of you were going ahead and using a lot of water, whether it was watercolor cakes or poster paints or acrylic paints, whichever you were going ahead and using. So make sure to go ahead and take a very, very, very little bit of water. To give you an example, go ahead and take in a wet brush and then swirl it on your water cake or your poster paint or your acrylic paint, and that is all the amount of water you want to go ahead and use. Now the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is take that yellow color paint from our palette, and we're going to go ahead and add it as a base all over our leaf. So we can go ahead and get started with this. So you can see I'm going ahead and taken my yellow color paint and I'm starting to add it in. Now one way to identify if you're going ahead and adding too much water onto your sheet of paper paper is to look at your sheet of paper where you've added in the paint. If you look at my sheet of paper right now where I have gone ahead and added paint, you can see it's looking just yellow color. It is not looking shiny. So if your sheet is looking shiny wherever you've added in color, then you know that you've gone ahead and added in too much water, because shine is basically the light being reflected from the water that is sort of sitting on your sheet of a paper. So anytime your sheet looks shiny, make sure to just spread that part of paint out onto the rest of your picture and take as little paint as possible onto your sheet. So you can see I'm slowly going ahead and painting this whole leaf out with my yellow color. I'm being very slow, very patient. If you too have the circles like how I have, then go ahead and do it around the circles. If you do not have the circles, then you can just go ahead and do it in one shot and go covering up the whole leaf. So here you can see I'm doing it as slowly as possible. Now, if you look at my leaf, you can see the top portion that I did first is already almost dry because the color is a lighter as compared to the bottom one. So another trick that I want to give you at this point of time is checking how to know if your paint is dry or not. You will be able to make out if your paint is dry if your color is looking a little different. So let's say I've added in the yellow on top over there. The bottom part, you can see this part is looking like a darker yellow because it's not dry yet, versus this part is looking very, very light because it's completely dry. So make sure now that your leaf is completely dry, because if your sheet is dry, then you're not sort of over flooding your sheet with water. So I'm going to wait here for a second, making sure all of you have gone ahead and finished the painting portion of this. Excellent job, everybody. Well done. All right. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is explain the next color. So go ahead and continue painting or waiting for your sheet of paper to dry. Don't worry if sometimes you're just sitting idle wondering what are we doing right now, because we're just waiting for our sheet of paper to dry because we don't want to go ahead and add in color and make it look bad. So like I was saying, let's go ahead and talk about the next color. The next color that we'll be going ahead and using is going to be a light orange color. Now, like I said, if you do not have a very, very thick sheet of paper, don't go ahead and, do 2 to 3 layers. You can go ahead and use directly orange. But if you have a nice thick sheet of paper, you can do the light orange and the dark orange the way I am doing it. So the light orange that we're going to be going ahead and doing is going to be a mix of orange and a little bit of yellow. But if you do not have a pre-mixed orange onto your palette, then go ahead and take a little bit of yellow and then go ahead and take a small dot of red and mix it up, and you'll get a really, really light orange color, and that's what we're going to be going ahead and using. Now, what we're going to do with this color is we're actually going to go ahead and add it onto our edges. Now, in the last class, you understood the process of blending, wherein we take a clean wet brush and we actually blend our colors out, and that process we're going to go ahead and follow again in today's class. So taking my orange, I'm going to go ahead and add it onto my edges, as you can see. Now you can follow two techniques when adding in the paint and blending. That is how I am doing right now, is you can go ahead and add it in a portion or two, and then you can go ahead and wash your brush, dry it down, and then go ahead and blend it out while the color is still wet, like I'm doing right here. And in between, you can see I'm going ahead and taking my brush away. At that point of time, I'm just tapping it onto a tissue paper or a cloth. You can also go ahead and just wash your brush every single time in the middle in order to get a clean brush every single time. So what you can do is you can do part by part the way I am going ahead and doing it right now, doing section by section. Or the second option is to go ahead and add in your orange everywhere and then take a wet brush and start blending it out. Now, whichever you do is completely all right. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to do it like a particular way. In this painting, I'm actually going to do both techniques just to show you. The first portion that I did was the section by section, but now I'm moving on to doing the whole orange first and then the whole blending. So whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you feel like you are comfortable working with and doing, follow that process. Painting is a lot about your intuition and judgment, so make sure you're actually working with your comfort level and make sure you're going ahead and doing it as slowly as possible, because you want to go ahead and get an amazing result. Perfect, everybody. Good job. So now if you look at my picture, you can see I have sort of like an orange, sorry, a little bit, I have a yellow base, and on the edges, I have my orange tips. So that's exactly what I wanted to go ahead with. But I obviously want to go ahead and deepen up my picture. That's why I'm going to be going ahead and using a dark orange color. Now, in this step as well, make sure that your color is completely dry before you move on to your next step. And the way you do it again is in the same manner. One is you can look at your sheet and see if it's shiny or not. Second is you can touch your sheet of paper and see whether it's dry or not. Or you can go ahead and see whether your color has changed. So the color that you used on your palette or the place that you mixed your colors versus on your sheet of paper, is it looking a little more duller? Is it looking lighter? If it is, then your sheet of paper is completely dry. So I'm just going to wait here for a second, making sure all of you have finished up this step and most of your sheets are dry. It is on the drier side so that we can move on to the next step. Perfect, everybody. Excellent, excellent job. Really, really happy with your work. Very well done. Excellent. Amazing. Great. Good job, everybody. You're doing such a wonderful job. I am so happy. Now, while you guys are still waiting for your sheets of paper to sort of dry out, I'm going to go on to the next step, which is to discuss about the next color that we'll be using. So, if you're going ahead and doing four stages of color like I am, or four processes or four layers of colors, then this color is going to be the third layer that we're using. The layer that you're going to do right now is a dark orange color. Now, the way you get a dark orange color is you can go ahead and take a little bit of orange and add in a drop of a red in it in order to make it look darker. But if you feel like no, you don't have an orange with you that's good enough, then you can go ahead and take a little bit of yellow, very little, maybe a drop or two, and take a lot of red and mix them together, and you will end up getting a beautiful dark orange color. This dark orange color can look almost red as well if you want, but try to make it a little orangey because it'll be easier to sort of blend out onto your sheet of paper. Perfect. I can see most of you have gone ahead and mixed up your colors. It's looking really beautiful, everybody. Excellent, excellent job. Perfect. All right, so I can see since your color is mixed, we can move on to the next step, which is again to add in the color on the edges. Now again, follow the technique that you are comfortable with. You can either go ahead and add in the color all over your sheet in the edges and then go ahead and blend out, or you can go ahead and, add in your color section by section, blending it out. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to go ahead and add it into larger pieces and then go ahead and blend it out. And you can see I'm just going ahead all over only in the edge and around the circles, because if I add it in more places, then what will happen is it'll end up covering my whole sheet, which I do not want. I want my edges and tips to look darker, but I want my center to look lighter. So that's what I want my sheet of paper to look like, or my leaf to look like. So I'm making sure of that and doing it very, very neatly and slowly. So as you can see, I've gone over all of my edges. Perfect. Now, since I'm done with all of my edges, I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush, and I'm going to slowly start blending it out. Now, since the color is a lot darker this time, your paintbrush is going to start getting, filled up with color. So in between every single time I lift off my brush, I'm actually going ahead and pat drying it onto a piece of tissue or cloth, and or I'm going ahead and washing my brush. So make sure you're going ahead and doing the same in order to, get the best result, and so that you don't go ahead and make the yellow portion very, very orange or very, very dark. You can see a little bit it will happen. Your yellow will become a little orangey, but you don't want it to become completely orange. You don't want it to, completely get covered up and become one flat color all over. So make sure that you're going ahead and working with it as comfortably as you can. And you can see I'm taking my time to blend my color out. I obviously want to go ahead and take my time whenever blending. I do not want to rush into it, because the more you rush into it, the harder it's going to get for you to sort of work with this. So I'm just going to wait here, making sure all of you have gone ahead and finished up. Excellent job, everybody. I'm looking at everybody's sheets and everybody is doing such a wonderful job. Excellent, excellent work. Really well done. Amazing. Perfect. Perfect. Amazing, everybody. Really, really well done. Really happy with the work that you're going ahead and doing right now. Excellent job. All right, again, couple of pointers while working with this. Make sure that your sheet of paper is completely dry before we move on to the next step. The next step is going to be actually the final step of our painting. And, you've almost come to the end. So excellent job. Good job of, coming so long along the way. But again, just keep a few things in mind. Firstly, check if your sheet of paper is completely dry before we move on to your next layer. The ways you can do it is by touching it and seeing if it's dry. Second is you can go ahead and obviously look at whether the color is lighter or not. And lastly, what you can do is you can obviously check if there is a little bit of shine on your sheet of paper, giving you an indication whether it's dry or not. Now at this point of time, your sheet might take a little bit longer to dry as compared to your previous times. So one trick that I use a lot at home whenever I'm painting and I don't have the patience is I take a fan or a blow dryer and sort of dry out my sheet of paper. So if you feel like your sheet is too wet at any point of time for any painting this is I'm talking to you about, you can go ahead and take a blow dryer or a high speed fan and go ahead and dry your whole sheet of paper out. It'll really, really help. All right, perfect, everybody. I can see most of you have gone ahead and finished up with your orange, and we can now move on to the next step. Now, the next step is just going to be sort of like a finishing. There's not going to be a lot of blending. And in this step, if your sheet of paper is a little damp, it's okay. It's not going to make much of a difference for our painting as a whole. It's actually going to make it look a little bit nicer. If it's a little damp, it's not going to make much of an issue. So the colors that we're going to be going ahead and using is basically a mix of red and brown. Now, if you do not have brown, then you don't have to go ahead and use brown. You can directly just use a red. But I do have brown, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of red and a little bit of brown and mix them up together to get a nice deep maroonish dark red color of sorts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort of do a little bit of the outline on the edges and then the circles. Now in this portion there is no blending involved. We're just doing sort of like an outline and we're just closing it at that. What we're also going to do with the same color is we're going to go ahead and draw out those pencil lines that we have, the veins that we have of the leaf. So going ahead and drawing it out. Now at this point of time, there's one thing that I want you to keep in mind, that when you're working with a paintbrush and drawing thin lines, it can be a little hard to do so at the first go. So if you feel you're uncomfortable, practice on another sheet of paper and come back and do it on this. But if you still feel you're not getting it, then you can take a sketch pen and also do it. It'll work absolutely well. So here I have my color mixed and I'm going to go ahead and start outlining. As you can see, just going over the edges a little bit. I'm not going to be blending it out as I told you earlier. I'm just going ahead and drawing out those small burnt looks that are there, and I'm going to just leave it at that. So as you can see, just going ahead and taking my time to do this outline. I'm not rushing into it. So you can also do the same. Take your time and going ahead and doing it, and look at how it changes how our picture is looking. It makes it look so beautiful. It makes it look so nice and intricate. It makes it look like a beautiful realistic leaf that you can find in the autumn time, or when you have fall where all the leaves are sort of falling onto our ground. Now taking the same, brown color, like I said, I'm going ahead and adding it to the center. Now on camera, this is looking really, really dark, the color, but I can assure you that the color is actually a nice deep reddish brown color, though it's looking flat out brown right now. And I'm going ahead and tracing out those veins. You can obviously go ahead and trace them out with a sketch pen like I mentioned, and I'm going ahead and adding in a few lines here and there as well in order to make it look a little bit more pretty. So as you can see, look at how wonderful and beautiful that is looking. Now, as you can see, my sheet of paper also was not completely dry. It was on the damper side. If you look at the colors over here in my lines, you can see my paint is sort of fraying and bleeding out, and that is why, because of my sheet of paper being still a little damp and wet, and that's completely all right for you to have. So I'm just going to wait here, making sure all of you are doing this step well and all of you are doing a good job. So good job, everybody. Excellent, excellent work. Really happy with how you're going ahead and following through with this. Excellent job. I'm going to wait here for a second, making sure all of you have gone ahead and finished this part up, and then we can move on to the next step. Perfect. Actually, we don't have a next step. What I meant was we can go ahead and end the class. All right. Perfect, everybody. Very, very well done. Amazing. All right. So one thing that I want you to keep in mind, sort of like a post, class thing, is that I want you to go ahead and make sure that you dry your sheet of paper well. You don't want to go ahead and take this sheet of paper and move it around a lot. Wherever you've gone ahead and painted it, let it sit right there, because no matter if your sheet looks dry or not, it can be a little damp. So make sure that you don't go ahead and start moving your sheet of paper around. If it's a damp, let it just sit there and rest once you're done. I'm looking at everybody's work and you've all done such a wonderful job. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. All right, amazing, amazing job, everybody. I'm so happy with how you've gone ahead and done your work for today. It looks so beautiful. It looks so, so, so nice that you've gone ahead and, done the picture the way you've gone ahead and done it. Really, really impressed with how you've all gone ahead and created this beautiful oak leaf with me today. Now, couple of pointers, like I said, when it comes to your painting, don't move it around and make sure it's completely dry. Make sure, your colors are not bleeding into one another, and make sure to remember these tips for the next few classes as well, because this is what we're going to be, inculcating in our painting process. Painting is something that, when you learn, you can go ahead and actually learn out of each painting, and it kind of sticks with you for all your life. So go ahead and remember these pointers whenever you're painting whatever picture you're painting. So good job, everybody. Now for your submission, just go ahead and click a picture of this and upload it. I would love to go ahead and see the progress. And again, evaluating the progress of this oak picture, I'm going to go ahead and add in more tips and tricks in the next class in order to make your pictures and paintings look really, really beautiful and amazing. Now, coming to a couple of pointers before we end today's class. First thing, don't go ahead and miss any of your classes if you want to get a certificate. Also, don't go ahead and miss any of your submissions. Those are the 2 pointers coming to the certificate program. Now, a last thing that I want to also discuss about is your submissions. If you do get selected as part of the top 10, you'll get showcased on the platform. But if you do not, I still want you to do your submission, irrespective of whether it's good, bad, ugly, amazing, whatever it is, because I want to see your work and see how you have progressed. So make sure you go ahead and show me your artworks. All right, I hope you had a wonderful and fun time with me today. I'll see you guys in the next class where we do a lot more fun paintings. Bye bye, and have a look at the submission video.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at Uolo_app. I'm